Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to unpack Crimson Grove's foundational lesson plan titled O is for Outstanding Opportunities. If you've ever found yourself wondering how educators systematically build a child's reading skills while also keeping that spark of curiosity alive, well, the structure of this curriculum provides an incredibly solid blueprint.
Right out of the gate, this curriculum sets a super inspiring tone. It boldly proclaims, "Outstanding opportunities open new doors." It purposefully frames early childhood education not just as rote memorization of letters on a page, but as a chance to recognize real, tangible opportunities to learn and grow. Talk about an empowering hook for young minds, right?
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the theme of opportunity, meeting the letter O, featured words and sounds, sparking sound and story, and finally, putting it into practice. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The theme of opportunity. Dreaming big and staying curious.
Before introducing even a single letter, the lesson plan sets its overarching pedagogical goals. The curriculum constantly ties the mechanical steps of learning the letter O back to a deeply emotional and empowering core theme. It emphasizes that outstanding opportunities help us learn, grow, explore, and succeed. So before a child even picks up a pencil, they're being taught that learning is the ultimate adventure. To visually anchor this for young learners, the lesson recommends a really specific list of ideas for the classroom. What's so interesting about this approach is how it seamlessly blends the familiar with the highly aspirational. We have simple, recognizable things like an owl, an octopus, an orange, and the ocean. But then it introduces these grand, sweeping concepts, an open door, a globe with books, and children actively exploring new opportunities. This perfectly grounds the abstract sound of the letter in tangible visuals, while keeping that grand theme of discovery front and center.
Moving on to Section 2, Meeting the Letter U, the Foundation.
Now we get to meet the literal star of the show. The lesson plan explicitly introduces O as a vowel and instantly connects it to its primary phonetic sounds. This definition anchors the concept so clearly for the student. It's a vowel that makes sounds like owl, octopus, orange, and ocean. By giving children immediate, concrete examples, that abstract letter shape becomes something they can actually hear and visualize in their minds. And here is where it gets really fun and energetic. This step brings in auditory learning with a group chant. The curriculum prompts the class with the instruction, "Let's say it together," followed by the repetition, "O says O, 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 O." It is just a fantastic, engaging way to commit that specific short sound to memory through active, collective participation.
All right, Section 3. Featured words and sounds. Expanding vocabulary.
Now that those basic building blocks and sounds are firmly established, the curriculum scales up to full words. What's actually brilliant about this progression is how it organizes the 20 featured vocabulary words. It purposefully takes learners on a developmental journey. It starts off with very familiar nouns like owl and orange, shifts into nature and action words, and then graduates all the way to complex, aspirational concepts like oxygen, opportunity, and outstanding. It is literally a strategic vocabulary ladder built around a single letter.
Next up is Section 4, Sparking Sound and Story, Sentences in Action. So, once that robust vocabulary is established, the lesson seamlessly transitions into stringing those words together. The curriculum incorporates these delightful mini-narratives, which gives the new vocabulary much-needed context. Instead of just reading a sterile list of words, students are practicing with actual sentences like, "The owl watched from the oak tree," or "Olivia peeled an orange for lunch." This strategy totally transforms mere reading practice into an engaging story time, capturing their attention and massively boosting retention.
The absolutely crucial point here is how sentences like this push a young student's imagination far, far beyond basic phonetic sounds. The astronaut learned about Earth's orbit. This creates a highly evocative context. The students aren't just learning the letter O anymore, they are traveling to space. They're thinking like astronauts. It highlights exactly how to layer advanced complex concepts into early education.
And it continually reinforces the lesson's overarching theme. The featured sentence, "Outstanding learners never stop exploring," acts almost like a classroom mantra. It explicitly encourages students to view themselves not just as kids sitting at a desk doing a worksheet, but as bold explorers on a lifelong journey of discovery.
Which brings us to Section 5, Putting it into Practice. Kinesthetic learning.
Finally, we reach the active practice phase where students solidify all their newfound knowledge.
This maps out a crystal clear, step-by-step approach. The curriculum outlines 5 distinct exercises, starting with simple visual recognition, circling the letter O. Then it advances to matching words to pictures, filling in missing letters, and a fun read and color activity. Finally, it culminates in the physical act of writing out the letters. It's a perfectly structured off-ramp from theory right into practice.
The mechanical work then concludes with a dedicated tracing page designed specifically to develop those essential fine motor skills. Students practice writing 5 foundational vocabulary words: owl, octopus, orange, ocean, and oven. It cleverly anchors their physical muscle memory right back to the most recognizable visuals they learned at the very start of the lesson.
To bring it all together, the author of the curriculum, Nijt Nufor, an elementary education explorer, signs off with a final, wonderful piece of encouragement. Outstanding opportunities help us grow. It beautifully frames everything we've unpacked today, reminding us what the core of early education is truly all about. As you consider this incredibly structured progression of learning, we want to leave you with this thought. How will you use these foundational building blocks to open new doors for the learners in your life? Because whether you are a teacher, a parent, or simply someone interested in how we learn to read, recognizing these opportunities really is the first step. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.